The girl behind the crates, the cold wind blew through the cracks of the broken moon station. Keen, a young human boy of 17, wrapped his thin jacket tighter around his body. His boots crunched against metal and ash as he searched for anything. Useful, wires, tools, batteries. The old station had been abandoned for years. Only scavengers like Keen came here now, hoping to survive one more day. He moved slowly past rusted pipes and shattered windows. Suddenly he heard a soft sound, like a whisper, or maybe a breath. He stopped. Silence. Keen crouched down behind a pile of crates. They were old food storage boxes, long empty. But something moved behind them. Very slowly, he pulled his small flashlight from his belt and turned it on. The beam flickered, then landed on a shape. Small, curled, and shaking. His heart jumped. It was a girl. Her skin was not human. It glowed faintly blue, and her hair was long, silver-white, falling over her face like soft threads. She looked no older than him. Her eyes were closed, and her lips were cracked. Her arms were wrapped around her knees. She was barefoot and wore thin clothes that looked torn and dirty. Keen took a small step forward. "Hey," he said gently. "Are you okay?" Her eyes opened slowly. They were golden, bright and full of something Keen couldn't understand. Fear, pain, maybe something more. She didn't speak. She just stared at him. Keen looked down at his pouch. Inside was only one thing left. His last chocolate bar. He had saved it for later, but something inside him told him this girl needed it more. He knelt, unwrapped the bar slowly so she wouldn't be scared, and held it out. "Here," he said. "It's sweet. Eat it." For a long moment, she didn't move. Then, with shaky fingers, she reached forward. She touched the chocolate like it was something holy. Carefully, she brought it to her lips and took a small bite. Her eyes widened. The taste, it was like fire and light filled her body. She gasped softly. Color came back to her cheeks. Her hands trembled, but she took another bite. Then another. Keen smiled a little. "First time tasting chocolate?" She nodded slowly. Tears fell from her eyes. She tried to speak, but only a whisper came out. "Thank you." Keen looked around. This place wasn't safe. Too many scavengers. If someone else found her, they might hurt her. Some would even sell her to alien traders. "You can't stay here," he said. "Come with me. I have a place." The girl didn't answer, but she stood up slowly. Her legs were weak. She almost fell, but Keen caught her. "Easy," he said. "I'll help you." Together they moved through the broken halls. Keen led her through hidden tunnels and past dead machines. No one saw them. Finally, they reached his small shelter, an old storage room with a heater, blankets, and a water tank. He fixed himself. He helped her sit down and gave her some water. "Do you have a name?" he asked. The girl looked down. For a long time, she said nothing. Then, softly, she whispered, "I was forgotten." Keen blinked. "Forgotten? That's not a name." She didn't reply. He sighed and said, "Okay, forgotten it is. But you're not alone now." She looked at him again, and something strange passed between them. Not love, not yet, but something powerful, something that said, this moment would change everything. Outside, high in the sky, an old satellite turned on. It had been sleeping for years, waiting for a signal. Now it had found what it was looking for. A faint pulse lit up in space, and far, away on a silent throne in a forgotten star system, a machine awoke. The lost heir had eaten chocolate, and the galaxy was about to remember her. The signal in the dust Keen didn't sleep that night. He sat near the heater, watching the alien girl rest under a pile of blankets. Her body was still thin, but her skin glowed faintly now, like soft moonlight. She had eaten the chocolate slowly, like it was more than food, like it was a memory. She hadn't told him her real name, just forgotten. He wondered what that meant. Who forgets a girl like her? Outside the shelter, cold dust blew through the ruined halls of the moon station. Old metal groaned as the wind passed through broken vents. Machines long dead whispered in static like they were trying to speak again after years of silence. Keen had lived here for 5 years, hiding and surviving, but now with her here everything felt different. Suddenly a loud beep echoed from his old comm pad. It was broken, useless. At least it had been. He picked it up, frowning. The screen, cracked and dead for years, now glowed faint green. 1 line blinked on it. Signal found. Air detected. His heart skipped. He looked at the girl. She was still asleep. Her body glowed brighter now, as if something inside her had been turned on. Keen checked his scanner. It picked up something strange. Waves of energy coming from her body. Soft, old energy. Not like the tech here. This wasn't normal. He stepped outside the shelter and climbed a tower nearby. From up there he could see the vast, dusty plains. Broken ships, cargo containers, and half-buried bones lay scattered in the distance. But something else caught his eye. A light. No. A line of lights, blinking far away in a pattern like a code. He took out his binoculars and zoomed in. Ships. Small, fast, and black like shadows. They weren't there before. And they were flying, low, scanning the ground. His mouth went dry. They were looking for someone. He ran back to the shelter. The girl was awake now, sitting with her legs pulled up to her chest. Her golden eyes watched him carefully. "They're coming," he said. She didn't look surprised. Instead, she nodded. "They always come, when the signal is born again." Keen frowned. "Who are you?" She hesitated, then touched the side of her neck. Her fingers pressed into her skin, and a small circular mark lit up, glowing bright. Red. Keen stared. "What is that?" "A seal," she said. "They thought it was destroyed, but your food, your kindness, and he woke it up." He stepped back, trying to understand. "What kind of seal?" "A royal one." His heart pounded. "Wait, you mean like a princess?" "Higher," she whispered. "They called me the blood of suns." He didn't understand, but then her body began to change, gently, not painfully. Her hair floated, as if pulled by invisible waves. Her skin became brighter. The mark on her neck spread like glowing vines down her arms, and something else happened. Keen's shelter shook. His scanner exploded with signals. The ground outside rumbled. A hidden satellite buried under the moon's dust slowly opened. It sent out a burst of light skyward. In the void of space, that light reached far, into regions no human ever dared to enter. And in a throne world long thought destroyed, red eyes opened. "She lives," whispered an ancient voice. Meanwhile, back on the moon base, Keen watched as his comm pad blinked again. "Death squads inbound. Protect the air." "We have to leave now," he said. She nodded. "But you must know the truth." "Later," Keen replied, grabbing his bag. "First we run." They moved fast, through the tunnels and shadows. The girl's mark glowed, lighting, their path like a living lamp. Her energy disturbed the old tech. Screens turned on, doors unlocked, machines buzzed after years of silence. And then they heard it. The hum of engines. Scavenger radios crackled with fear. Black cloaks landed. "They're not human, looking for something. No, someone." Keen grabbed the girl's hand. "Don't stop," he said. "Don't look back." But she did, and what she saw froze her blood. A drone hovered nearby. It turned to face her, its red eye locked on. Then suddenly it spoke in a voice made of static. "The bloodline is awake. Confirm target. Beginning self-cleanse." Boom! The drone exploded, not from attack, from inside. "They programmed themselves to die if they found me," she whispered. "They don't want anyone to know." Keen's mind raced. Who was she really? What power did she carry? Why was chocolate the key? Too many questions. But one truth was clear. This was no normal girl, and he was now part of something far bigger than anything he had ever known. Fire in the void. The tunnels felt tighter now. Keen's breath came fast as he ran, pulling the Alien girl, no. The air, close behind him. Machines were waking. Metal groaned. Old vents hissed with hot steam. Every wall felt alive, like the station itself remembered who she was. They didn't speak much. There was no time. Behind them, black cloaked enemies moved like shadows. They weren't soldiers. They were something worse. Cold, silent, and built for one thing only, erasing bloodlines. This way, Keen whispered, turning left into an old control room. The girl, her mark now glowing down her spine, looked around slowly. This place remembers me. Keen blinked. How can a place remember? She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to a console. Dust covered it. But when her hand touched the screen, the dust vanished. Lights blinked. The screen turned on. Words appeared in a strange, ancient language. She read them aloud, and the room trembled. Keen stepped back. What did you just do? Called the fire, she said softly. If they want me, they'll burn for it. Outside, the black cloaks reached the tunnel entrance. One of them raised a scanner. It blinked red, target confirmed. But just as they took a step forward, the floor opened. Lava, real fire from the planet's core, shot upward like a monster awakened. The ground cracked. A red storm roared through the hallway. Metal turned to liquid. The screams of the black cloaks echoed through the station. In the control room, the girl fell to her knees, shaking. Keen caught her. You okay? Using power. It drains me. I'm not fully awakened yet. Keen didn't understand everything, but he understood this. She was fighting to live and to protect him. He gave her water. She took it with weak hands. Why me? Keen asked softly. Why did I find you? She looked at him with tired golden eyes. Because you didn't see a tool or a weapon. You saw someone hungry and shared your only food. Keen looked away, heart heavy. The last chocolate bar. He had almost eaten it himself. Now, everything had changed. Suddenly, another console beeped. It displayed a galaxy map. A single planet glowed blue. Text in red flashed next to it. Arco 7. Empire Vault active. Air must arrive. The girl touched the map. My father built a vault there. A safe house. It holds the crown's memory. And a secret weapon. Keen nodded slowly. We go there. How? He smiled faintly. I might know a way. They made their way to the edge of the station. There, buried under rubble, was an old shuttle, half broken but maybe still working. Keen had seen it before, never touched it. He didn't have the codes. But when the girl placed her glowing hand on the side, the door opened with a soft hiss. Inside, lights turned on, soft. Music played, an old lullaby from her world. The girl sat in the pilot's seat. She looked small, weak, but her presence filled the space. Keen checked the controls. Engines are shot, but maybe, if I reroute the core. She stared at him. Can you really fly it? No, he said, grinning. But I can make it. Fly. She actually smiled. A small, tired smile, but a real one. Outside, the firestorm had cooled. Only black ash and melted armor remained, but more ships had landed. Tall figures in silver cloaks walked among the ash. Their faces were hidden. Their voices were not. The fire confirms it, one of them said. She is alive. Another nodded. Begin the void net. She cannot leave. Inside the shuttle, Keen worked fast. Cables sparked. Wires hissed. He burned his hand once but didn't stop. He had done this before, fixing old machines. But this was life or death. The girl sat still, eyes closed, saving her strength. Suddenly, a soft alarm rang. Red lights flashed. They're sealing the sky, she whispered. If we don't leave now, we never will. Keen hit the switch. Nothing, he cursed, banged the console. Come on, don't die now! The ship shook. From the sky, black orbs began to fall, each one like a bomb, shutting down all engines nearby. The void net. One more try. Keen slammed the panel, screamed, "Fly!" The ship roared to life. The thrusters glowed. The girl opened her eyes and reached out, touching the main core with her marked hand. A burst of gold light filled the ship. The engines screamed. Metal screamed, the ground cracked, and then they lifted off. The sky tore apart around them. Black orbs chased the shuttle, firing rays of energy. One hit the wing, another sliced the tail. Keen fought the controls, yelling, sweating, shaking. The girl stood beside him, hand on the power system, holding it together with raw energy. "Hold on," Keen said. "I trust you," she whispered. Behind them, the moon cracked in half from the power she unleashed earlier. Before them, space opened, wide and endless. Ahead was Arca 7, behind, death. Keen looked at her and said, "You ready to find this vault of yours?" She nodded. "I was born ready. I just didn't know it. Until chocolate woke me up." They both laughed. But far behind them, in the blackness of space, a ship, older than memory, began to move. Its commander knew the air was coming, and he had waited a very long time. A name worth dying for. The stars around Arco 7 were not peaceful. They swirled with strange clouds, silver mist, blinking blue orbs, flashes of red lightning that cut through the black like claws. Keen had never seen a planet like this. It wasn't on any map. Yet the alien girl beside him whispered like she had returned home after centuries. "This place remembers me," she said softly, as they drifted closer. The shuttle shook, not from damage, but from something stronger. The space around the planet was alive, ancient defense systems, invisible energy fields, and something else. A presence. "Your father built this?" Keen asked, his hands tight on the controls. "Not just him," she replied. 13 ancestors. One bloodline. Each left a part of their soul in this world. To protect me. Keen didn't speak. He focused on the descent. The sky screamed as their ship passed through layers of energy. Alarms flashed, but the girl reached out again and her hand glowed. The alarms stopped. The sky calmed. The clouds moved aside. They landed on a quiet, glowing surface. The world was made of white rock and dark glass. Ancient towers lay broken. A river of blue light flowed between them like water. Above it all stood a single structure, a round temple open to the sky. The vault. They stepped out. The air was warm, soft, like breathing memories. As they walked, machines hidden in the walls woke up. Some scanned them. Some simply whispered, "Blood confirmed." The air returns. Her protector walks beside her. Keen felt chills. "They're talking about me?" "Yes," she said. "You shared your food. The old code calls that an oath. I didn't know I was making one." "The galaxy did," she whispered. Inside the temple, the light dimmed. Tall columns surrounded a wide circular floor. At its center was a pool of liquid gold. The girl stepped forward, removing the cloth wrapped around her arms. Her glowing mark reached from her neck to her fingertips. She placed her hand over the golden pool and said, "I speak my name." The pool lit up. Keen leaned forward. "My name," she continued, voice echoing, "is Sael Ari Ivarius, the last living daughter of the Sunsong throne. I am not forgotten. I was hidden. But now, I return." The pool exploded upward, not as fire, but as memory. Images spun around them, planets burning, fleets falling, a little baby girl being handed to a human woman, and the sound of screaming. Metal as a royal ship escaped an assassination attempt. Keen fell to his knees. He saw everything. "They tried to erase you," he said. "Yes," she answered, and they almost did. Suddenly the light snapped back into the pool. A new voice echoed in the chamber. "Name accepted. Throne restored. Summon the blade." Small pedestal rose beside the pool. On it was a sword, not made of metal but something older. The blade pulsed with gold and white. It was beautiful and dangerous. Sailari picked it up. At that moment, the temple shook. Keen looked up. What? Now? Outside, the sky had darkened. Dozens of ships appeared above them, sleek, black, with no windows or markings. They came silently, like death itself. Sayalari stared at them. He followed us. Who? She looked at Keen. The one who led the rebellion. He wasn't just a traitor. He was my uncle. Keen's eyes widened. And he wants to finish what he started. She nodded. He thinks I'm still the scared baby they sent away. He's wrong. She turned to him. Will you fight with me? Keen took a deep breath. He thought about the first time he saw her, shaking behind crates, afraid, hungry, alone. And now she stood before him like a star reborn. He smiled. I've come this far. I'm not leaving you now. Sayalari placed the blade gently in his hands. Then take this. It listens to heart, not blood. I've already chosen my weapon. What's that? She raised her hand. From behind her, the blue river of light rose up and formed a shield, alive, flowing like water but hard as steel. And then, something strange happened. A voice entered Keen's head. Not in words, but in feeling. You are her knight. He felt strength rush through his body, not power like hers, but purpose. He stood tall. Together, they walked out of the vault temple. Outside, enemy troops landed. Tall, silver-armored soldiers moved in lines. Their faces were blank. Their weapons were aimed. Sayalari stepped forward, golden shield in one hand, fire in her eyes. Kian followed, holding the ancient blade. The enemy commander stepped forward. He was tall, armored in black and gold. His face was scarred, but his eyes were filled with cruel calm. You are a ghost, he said to Sayalari. A memory. The throne is mine. She didn't blink. Then come take it. He raised his hand. Burn the traitors, he ordered. Hundreds of weapons charged, but the ground beneath them cracked. Light burst upward from the planet itself. The ancestors were not silent. The bloodline had returned. The throne had a name again, and Keen, just a boy with a chocolate bar, was now the sword-bearer of the lost empire. The war for the last light. The wind on Arco 7 howled like it was crying for all the lives lost here long ago. Keen stood at the front of the ancient stairs, sword in hand. Sayalari stood beside him, shield of light glowing on her arm. Above them, black warships covered the sky like a storm ready to fall. Enemy troops spread across the surface, marching in silence, weapons glowing red, eyes cold. And at their center stood the traitor, Lord Valek, Sayalari's uncle. He wore golden black armor shaped like thorns, and a crown made of shattered metal. His face was part machine now, half covered in wires and steel. He had once held her as a baby. Now he pointed his burning spear at her heart. You should have stayed forgotten, he said. Sayalari's eyes burned. You should have stayed dead. Valek raised a hand. The enemy charged. Keen braced himself as a blast flew toward him. He swung the sword. Light burst from its edge and cut through the beam. He stumbled, shocked. Whoa, did I do that? Sayalari smiled briefly. You did. Another blast came. She raised her shield. It absorbed the energy, twisted it, and threw it back as a golden wave that shattered a row of enemy drones. They're everywhere, Keen shouted, slashing at a trooper that ran at him with an electro-axe. We fight, Sayalari replied, until the vault closes or we fall. They moved as one, blade and shield, protector and heir. From the cliffs above, ancient guardian statues began to stir. The light from Sayalari's blood woke them. Huge stone machines, 10 meters tall, stood up after sleeping for 1,000 years. Their eyes turned gold. Their arms cracked free from vines and stone. They stepped down into the battlefield. The traitor's soldiers opened fire. The guardians blocked every shot, then unleashed beams of light that carved burning paths through enemy lines. Those are your ancestors? Keen shouted, ducking behind a rock. Some of them, Sayalari answered. Others are just loyal to the throne. But Valek had more tricks. From his warship, Dark pods dropped to the ground. They cracked open and released new horrors. Black creatures made of shadows and wires. They screeched like broken machines and moved faster than thought. One jumped at Keen. He raised his sword just in time. Clang! The creature shattered, but its claws left deep burns on the ground. They're feeding off the planet's pain, Salari cried out. Arcos is bleeding. Valak laughed from afar. This world is already dead, niece. You only returned to bury it. Salari closed her eyes. For a moment, everything slowed. She felt the ground, the air, the memories in the stone. Then she whispered an old word, a secret name. The world shook. A golden crack spread from her feet out across the battlefield. The creatures screamed. The shadows fled. The enemy lines trembled. What was that? Keen asked, panting. A word of awakening, she said. I just told Arcos, I'm home. A new door opened near the temple. A glowing path lit up beneath the ground, leading deep into the core. Sayalari turned to Keen. That's the vault's heart. If we reach it, we can activate the last beacon. The throne network will wake across the galaxy. And if we don't, then Valak wins. The bloodline ends. Keen nodded. Then let's run like hell. They charged through the path. Behind them, the Guardians held off the enemy, but the traitor's army was endless. The vault pulsed ahead, like a heart waiting to beat. Inside, they found a single pillar made of pure crystal. It held a crown, but not for a head, for the galaxy itself. Sayalari stepped forward, placing her hand on it. I offer light, she whispered. The crystal responded. Lights flowed from her mark into the pillar. Old stars burned in the air above. Names echoed from the past. Queens, kings, warriors, healers, all part of her line. They're all watching, Keen said quietly. Sayalari didn't cry, but her voice shook as she said, I am not forgotten. She placed her other hand on the control node and activated the beacon. A wave of pure gold light burst from the vault. It rushed, through space like fire through paper. Ships far away, ships that had hidden for years, awoke. Fleets long buried turned on. Across the stars, old banners lit up. The Empire had returned, but outside, Valak roared. He stabbed his spear into the ground, sending a shockwave that shattered the Guardians. His ship fired one last weapon, a black lance of dark energy, aimed straight for the vault's heart. Keen saw it, coming too fast, too strong. Sayalari was still connected to the beacon. She couldn't move. Keen ran. He jumped in front of her. The blast hit. Everything went white. When the dust cleared, Sayalari was still standing. Keen lay at her feet. Barely, breathing, burned and shaking. You, stupid boy, she whispered, falling to her knees beside him. He smiled weakly. Still worth it. You owe me another chocolate bar. Then he passed out. Sayalari stood slowly. Something in her broke open, not with pain, but with purpose. She turned to face the enemy, her shield cracked in half, becoming wings of light. Her eyes turned gold and white, and her voice rose into the sky. I am Sayalari Ivarius, daughter of the Sun-Song throne. My name is written in stars, and today, I end the war you started. Valak hesitated. Too late. The vault exploded upward with fire and memory. It swallowed the sky. His ship cracked in two. His army fell back in panic, and Sayalari rose, glowing like a star reborn. Arco 7 went silent again, but the galaxy had heard, and Sayalari now carried not just the blood of an empire, but the heart of a friend who gave up everything for her. A crown made of light. The battlefield was quiet now. Black ships had fallen. Enemy soldiers either fled or lay broken across the glowing surface of Arcos 7. The Guardians, stone giants loyal to the throne, stood still once again, like statues mourning in silence. But Sayalari didn't hear the silence. She heard Keen's breath. Weak. Shallow. He lay in her arms, eyes closed, his shirt burned, his hands blackened from the blast. He had shielded her with his body, not because of a command, not because of blood, but because he chose to. Tears ran down her cheeks. They sizzled as they touched her glowing skin. "Don't leave me," she whispered. He didn't answer. She placed her palm over his heart. Light from her mark flowed into him, soft and warm. But healing was not her gift. Her powers could awaken machines, move stars, but not fix a fragile human body. Not like this. "Please," she said, her voice cracking. "You gave me everything." And then, the crown answered. It floated above the heart of the vault. Not made of gold or stone, but a pure living light. It spun slowly, humming a note that matched the beat of the planet. Keen's blood had touched the throne. His act had echoed through the core. Now the crown shimmered and moved. Sailari looked up as it descended. It hovered above her head, then paused, almost asking permission. "He is the reason I remembered who I am," she whispered. "If I must be your queen, then let him live." The crown spun once and broke, not shattered, transformed. The light stretched out, wrapped around Keen's body. His wounds healed, his burns faded, color returned to his skin. He gasped, opened his eyes, and saw her, glowing like a goddess, tears on her cheeks, smiling down at him. "I didn't die?" he asked. "You did," she whispered. But the crown said no. Far above, in the black corners of space, old satellites blinked. The signal of the air's awakening had reached systems long lost. Forgotten allies, hidden worlds, even enemies, all felt the pull of the light. Messages began to spread. "She lives." The throne breathes again. Prepare for her voice. Back on Arcos 7, Sailari stood before a new gathering. Not soldiers, not rebels, but leaders, humans, aliens, hybrids, all summoned by the beacon. She wore a long white robe made from the vault's silk and stood on a floating platform above, the river of light. Her hair flowed like silver flame and her skin pulsed with golden strength. Keen stood by her side, now wearing armor given by the Guardians, lightweight, yet strong, designed only for the protector of the air. "People of the galaxy," Sailari began, "I was once forgotten, thrown away, hunted. But one human, a boy with a kind heart and a broken past, gave me a chocolate bar. Some laughed. Some looked confused. She smiled. Yes, simple, sweet, and small, but it woke something inside me. Not just memory, but hope." She looked at Keen. He gave her a slight nod. "I am not here to rebuild the old empire," she continued. "I'm here to build something new, something where kindness matters more than power, where no child is thrown away, where names are remembered." The crowd stood in silence, and then cheers. The galaxy hadn't just found its air, it had found its light. But peace doesn't come easy. Sailari knew this. Valek's body had not been found. His warship vanished just before the final blast. "He's still out there," Keen said one night as they stood beneath a starlit sky. "Yes," she replied, "but next time we'll be ready." Keen smiled. "So, I'm officially your protector now?" "You've always been," she said. "But now, it's official." "Good," he said, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out something wrapped in silver foil, a chocolate bar. Sailari laughed, a sound full of light and memory. "You kept one?" "Nope," he said, unwrapping it. "I stole this from a royal kitchen." She raised an eyebrow. "That's a crime." He broke it in half. "I'm forgiven, right?" She took her half. "Always." They ate quietly, watching the stars. The last heir and the boy who saw her as more than a title, just a girl, just someone who needed kindness and far, far away, on a dead world with no name. Valek stood in the shadows of a broken throne. His body was scarred, his armor cracked, but his hatred burned brighter than ever. A whisper echoed in his ears. She is crowned. Valak clenched his fist. Then I'll burn her crown, he growled, and take her knight first. His eyes glowed red. The war was not over. But Selari didn't fear him anymore because now she knew who she was and who stood beside her. The galaxy would not forget again, and this time it would fight back with light. The galaxy remembers. 3 months passed. Selari's name now echoed across the stars. From ice planets to floating cities, from underground rebel dens to the highest halls of power. Every system whispered one truth. The heir lives. But peace was fragile and far from complete. Selari had united 27 worlds under the new Sun Song Accord. She brought healing machines to war zones, food to dying colonies, and justice where corruption had ruled. Her shield lit up courtrooms. Her voice calmed riots. But in the shadows, Valak prepared his final move. Keen could feel it. He stood on the edge of a sky balcony in the capital city of Zendari Prime, looking out over towers of glass and floating lanterns. Even in peace, his body remained tense. He wasn't just a boy anymore. He was the protector. His sword never left his back. His eyes watched every ship that came too close. He heard her approach before she spoke. "You're not sleeping again," Selari said gently. "He's coming," Keen replied. "I feel it." She stood beside him, folding her arms. Her silver-white hair danced in the wind. "You always say that, because he always is." She didn't argue. Both of them knew. The war wasn't finished, just waiting. Next morning, the sky cracked open. The defense system screamed first. Alarms rang through the capital. Shields went up. Citizens ran for shelters. Towers dimmed. And from above, a single black ship, larger than a moon, descended like a god made of steel and rage. Valak had returned. But not alone. His army was made of ash and machine, rebuilt from forgotten weapons. His voice echoed across all comm channels. "Return the crown or watch your cities fall." Keen and Selari stood at the command center, staring at the massive ship in orbit. "He's grown stronger," Keen said, jaw tight. "So have we," Selari answered. The crown pulsed in her hand, not on her head but wrapped in cloth. She had never worn it like a jewel. It was a responsibility, not a prize. "He wants the symbol," she said. "Not for power, for destruction." "Then let's not give it to him," Keen replied. Selari nodded. "Get the fleet ready." The Battle of Zendari Prime began. Valak's forces landed like burning rain. Mechs, beasts, and armored shadows swept across the fields. Guardians rose to fight, joined by human pilots, alien warriors, and volunteers from all corners of the galaxy. Keen led the front lines. His blade no longer just glowed, it sang. Every swing lit up the sky. His name, once unknown, now carried honor. He was called the Sword of the Air, but even he couldn't stop Valak's true weapon. The Echo Bomb, a device that didn't explode. It erased. It deleted whatever it touched. Walls, ships, people, leaving only silence behind. When the first bomb dropped, an entire tower blinked out of existence. Selari stared in horror. Valak had found the darkest tech, forbidden for centuries, and now he was ready to erase her world. She knew what she had to do. She flew alone to his ship, Shield, glowing bright, heart-burning. Keen tried to stop her. "You can't go alone." "I'm not," she said softly. "You're coming." His eyes widened. "What?" "He started this by taking my family," she said. "I'll end it by protecting the one I chose." They entered the heart of the black ship. It was cold, silent. The walls pulsed with red light, like veins in a dying beast. Shadows moved, whispering lies, trying to twist their thoughts, but Selari's light burned through them, and at the center throne, Valak waited. He looked older now, angrier, but no less dangerous. He stood, spear in one hand, the second echo, bomb in the other. "So," he said, voice full of venom, "you bring the boy again. I bring the man who stood where you ran, Sayalari replied. Valak snarled. You never belonged on that throne. You were a child born from weakness. No, she said. I was born from love. She raised her shield, and the battle began. It was not like any other fight. This was not power versus power. It was truth versus hate. Valak moved like lightning. Every strike tore holes through the floor. Keen blocked with the blade, sweat pouring, heart racing. Sayalari countered with the shield, protecting both of them. But Valak was fueled by something deeper. Not just rage. Emptiness. You stole everything, he screamed. I built the war, I created the rebellion, I survived the purge, and they still chose you. Because I gave life, Sayalari shouted. You only take it. He threw the echo bomb. It flew fast, too fast. Keen leapt. Time slowed. He caught the bomb midair and drove his blade through it, a blinding pulse, a scream. Then, silence. When the light cleared, Valak lay on the floor, bleeding, breathing, beaten. He looked up at Sayalari. End it, he hissed, but she shook her head. You chose pain, she said. I choose peace. She dropped her shield. Let the galaxy judge you. Weeks passed. Valak was locked in stasis, his power gone. The new government began to rise, built not on fear, but unity. Humans and aliens worked side by side. Old wounds began to heal, and on a quiet evening, Sayalari stood before a crowd of thousands, Keen beside her. The crown hovered above her head once again. This time, it waited for her answer. She looked at it, then stepped back. This throne does not need a ruler, she said. It needs guardians. It needs all of us. And the crown did something no one expected. It split into hundreds of tiny lights, floating, glowing, and flew out across the sky, landing on people below. Every voice rose, every hand lifted, every heart remembered, and the galaxy was reborn. Keen and Sayalari later returned to the old moon station, where their story began. Behind the same crates where she once hid, Keen pulled out a tiny package, a chocolate bar. One last one, he said. She smiled. Some things never change, but everything else had.